Hey guys, and welcome to another Used Tech Hustle video. In this one we're going to be looking at a PC case. This is the Element Gaming MN25 case. I believe this is exclusive to Ebuyer. From what I can see, the brand themselves simply don't supply anywhere else. They do a lot of cases, a few of them appear to be clones. This one I suspect maybe, but I couldn't find the original if that's the case. But yeah, it's dirt cheap. It was recommended by one of you guys, if I just bring up the comment here. And as soon as I saw it for the price, I figured I may as well order some other stuff and have a look, because for that kind of money, that's incredible. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we actually get. As always with my PC case reviews, we're going to be actually building a PC in there, which I think is probably the best way to test what it's like. For anyone interested, we've got a 3rd gen i5 system. This is just running on a Lenovo motherboard I pulled apart from another system a while ago. An R9 270 graphics card, obviously power supply, hard drive, and I've got an SSD and things to throw in there as well, so it should be fairly decent by the time it's done. But yeah, that's enough waffling. Let's get this unboxed and see what we've actually got inside. Alright, so that's this thing out of the box. As you can see, it's a fairly tidy looking cubish kind of box, but I really like the overall style. It's very subtle. There's nothing really too much going on in there. A couple of USBs on the front, etc. And obviously we've got our acrylic side. No actual glass to be found here. The vent on the top has a very strange design, I will say. It seems to have just a few holes in there, rather than being a bit more open than you'd hope. So, interesting to see what the airflow and things might be like in this. I suppose if you're just running a basic system, it should be fine. And at the back, yep, got the usual. It looks like that can take up to a 120 fan, which is ideal. I'll double check that as I go. Although I do feel there is a fan in there as well, so I'll leave that in and see exactly what that is. Anyway, let's take the side off and see what's going on the inside. Okay, so that's the sides off. We got the usual bag of bits and bobs on the inside. Now the first thing I can see, there seems to be zero space for any fans at the front, so you really are limited to this strange grille here and the one at the back. And a couple down here, so yeah, interesting. I suppose it was very cheap, so no matter what, it's going to look quite cool. But yeah, I was hoping for at least a bit of room to get something there, but I can see, I suppose, there's absolutely no ventilation, so that was optimistic. But yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I suppose I've always got to bear in mind the price. The build quality feels as you would expect. It's quite tinny, but hopefully the end result still looks good. We've got quite a decent area for cable management here as well, so yeah, it should be tidy at least. If not the best performing case, it should at least look smart. And the system I'm putting in there is going to be fairly simple, so that's not an issue. But if you're looking to have something a bit beefier or maybe overclock, then this might not be the best. Anyway, let's crack on with the build and see how we go. Okay, so it's all going pretty smoothly so far. I've got the motherboard and the power supply in there. Now, just looking at where the hard drives go, I'll just see if I can tilt this so you can see a little better. You'll see there's no cages or anything for them. You literally just screw it in through the bottom of the case. I think there's support, from what I can see, for one 3.5-inch drive and a couple of SSDs. So again, a bit lacking in the area, but because the description of the product is so sparse as well, I thought I might as well try and fill in what I can. But yeah, that's what I'm going to get in next, is the drives, and then start wiring things up. But so far, not bad, not brilliant, not bad. Well, the mediocrity continues. Everything's going exactly as it should be. Everything's fitting in nicely. All the cables that go onto the motherboard were labelled very well. Not really much else to report. It all seems quite slick. The area for the hard drive was a pain. Bear with me a second. And if I just move these out of the way, you can see it's shoved right in there, so the actual space for the cables to go in is a bit tight. However, I've made it work. The area for the cable management does seem okay as well, but when I tidy this up in a moment, once I put the GPU in, we shall see. It isn't quite as big, as generous as I originally thought. Now I've actually put things in there, but yeah, I'm sure I can still make the best of it. But so far, although it is cheap, I've got to say, for the extra few pounds, some of the other cases I've reviewed do seem a little better, but I'm still looking forward to seeing what the end result is like. I think it should look pretty smart, especially when I put in some colour LEDs and whatnot, but yeah, not too bad so far. Nothing really major to report, other than the hard drive area was very fiddly, but yeah, let's get the GPU in and carry on. Alright, so that's basically the build as it is now. Pretty much complete. Just need to pop a bit more RAM in there, which I will do so shortly, but as far as the case goes, yeah, it's done its job. It's housing everything alright, but let's tin it on and make sure this thing works, and well, see if what's going on with this fan, whether it's got any colours in it. If not, I'll try and find some places to put some LED fans, and we'll see what it looks like. But yeah, from the case point of view, still quite stylish, obviously very budget friendly. A couple of niggly things, especially with the hard drive area, but yeah, not too bad really. Okay, this thing is plugged in and ready to test. Obviously I've not got the side on in case I've done something wrong. Let's see if this PC works. Typical. Okay. So the fan really is just a bare bones exhaust fan, no colour or anything on there, but I think that's to be expected. So I think now, from my point of view, really the best next thing to do is to get some colour in there, because I think it's going to look very boring without anything. Oh, well, that's moaning at me for some reason. But yeah, not too bad. Let's get some colour in there and see how it goes. Right, here it is with the side on. I've got some LED fans in there. I decided to go with a fan at the top and back here, and a couple of strips. Yeah, let's turn it on, see how it looks. It's pretty nice, to be fair. It's exactly what you'd expect. See, all these parts here are all exposed, which you may not like. It is clearly a very basic chassis that they've just drilled some holes so they can stick one of these on the side, but yeah, it looks pretty smart. Let me get the main light off and get the RGB going in a few different colours, and we'll take one last look and round this thing up. Right, there you go, that's it, kind of more in all its glory. You can see there where the light spills through, etc. But yeah, overall, I've got to say, it's, if you're looking to build a basic PC with just one hard drive, a couple of SSDs and whatnot, it's okay, it's not bad at all. There are limitations. I am a bit concerned about the fact that this front panel here has no fan or even ventilation there, so you are completely reliant on whatever can get in down there, and then obviously exhausting things out there. So yeah, cooling is something that I would say to be aware of. However, while it's at the price of just around £17, if you're looking to just build something basic, or even just throw a few parts together for a semi-decent looking PC to flip, then you can't really go wrong. However, as I'm happy with what I've got here. I'm certainly not regretting buying it to test it, but I certainly won't be buying another one. I think for an extra maybe £5 you can get an awful lot more, and if you want to really wow people, things like the CIT7 case, which isn't a huge amount more really. We're still, you know, under £30. To me that just looks a lot better, it's a lot easier to work with, and so on. So yeah, great for a budget, so long as you bear in mind its limitations. Yeah, I'd give it a kind of, yeah, okay, leaning towards thumbs up, but maybe in the middle. One thing I'll do just before I end this video is to get Windows set up and run a few temperature tests like we did in the last one, just going to see what the performance is like. It's a bit of a random thing, so I can't really gauge it against any other cases at the moment. However, at least you'll get an idea of what your graphics card and CPU temperatures could be like, given what I'm running in there. Okay, let's get Windows on this. So this thing has been quite happy chugging away on the ID64 test. As you can see, 53. So, you know, not bad for the processor. Can't really complain with that. I was expecting a bit worse, to be honest, considering there is nothing coming in from the front here at all, but yeah, not too bad. We'll just try the graphics card next, see how that performs, and then I think it's time to round this thing up. But as time is going on, I am appreciating it for what it is. I mean, you can get 2 SSDs, 2 3.5 inches in there, although they're a bit fiddlier than you'd want. Bearing in mind it's all been built for a budget, so the end result is a pretty cool little case for 17 quid. Anyway, I'll get the Heaven benchmarks on the way and we'll see what that's like. Okay, that's the Heaven benchmark, been running for quite a while now as well, and the temperature seems to fluctuate just under 80, doesn't seem to go any higher, so I think we'll call it 80 degrees, which is actually quite high, but again nothing I would be too concerned with. Plus with Afterburner you could set the fans to account for that, but yeah, not too bad at all, considering the price of everything and the airflow it does have. This is about what I expected, really. So that's it, guys, that's my review of the MN25 case from Ebuyer. So I suppose the takeaway, without wanting to repeat myself too much, would be if you are very happy to set your standards within reason, you know, this is such a cheap case, so the build quality and everything is reflected in that. Things like the lack of finish here, it's all part and parcel of it, but the end result I think is very acceptable for very little outlay. So again, I do think if you are looking at making yourself just a cheap throwaway PC or something you want to flip, then this can give you the kind of curb appeal at a very tight budget. It has the shroud, etc., so there is that going for it. It can take up to 2 3.5 inch drives, as I've found out. There's the one I've bolted in at the bottom there, and just above that you can bolt another one in up against that top part there. Yeah, I can't really give too many negative things about it, really. The cable management, once I'd got a bit more fuller in there, was a bit tight. However, thankfully, because of the build quality of the case, the side is quite flexible, so although that doesn't appear to be bulging as much as I thought it would be, it is pretty much easy enough to squeeze everything down in place and kind of get things bodged in place. So yeah, if you really want something for as cheap as possible, I think this is probably the best looking case for the sub £18 market. However, I would still suggest to maybe spend an extra £5–10. You'll find you'll get a lot better case, certainly from the ones I've reviewed anyway. Nothing against this one, it is what it is. However, the others do have more appeal, I think, and a bit easier to work with. Anyway, thank you for the suggestion. If you do have any cases like this, any budget cases you'd like me to take a look at, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I'm always open to suggestions. If you've enjoyed this and want to see more reviews of cases, GPUs, used tech pieces, etc., then why not subscribe? It would be really great if you could drop a like on this as well, or even if you just want to say hello in the comments. Anything from you guys is always great. Right, I'll stop waffling and leave this one alone now. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep hustling.